sounds solemn because there's a few things in transfer. Now they call this Jesus.
Silence! All stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the reading of the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, the proclamation. All persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh, give your attendance, and you shall be heard.
And I welcome everyone to this ceremony to mark the appointment of Commissioner McRobert as a Commissioner of the Industrial Relations Commission of New South Wales. We're sitting here on the land of the Cardi, the Gadigal of the Eora Nation. I acknowledge their elders, past and present, and extend that acknowledgement to all other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Now, before I hand over to the speakers, can I exercise my prerogative to be the first to formally welcome you, Commissioner McRobert, to the bench. You bring a wealth of specialist industrial relations and legal experience to the role, having spent most of your working life working in this jurisdiction. In addition to being an excellent lawyer with an innate sense of fairness, you bring enthusiasm and energy. It's going to be a delight to be on the bench with you. I call on the Minister of Industrial Relations and Minister for Work Health and Safety, the Honourable Sophie Kotsis, to speak on behalf of the government.
I would like to begin with acknowledging the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which this court stands, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I would also like to extend my respect to our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander colleagues present today. Thank you, Your Honour, for the invitation to address the Commission today. I am pleased to speak at this ceremonial sitting to welcome one of the most recent appointments to the Industrial Relations Commission of New South Wales, Ms Alison McRobert. I would like to welcome distinguished guests, including the Honourable Justice Adam Hatcher, Fair Work Commission President, and Judge Gerard Phillips, President of the Personal Injury Commission, and members of this commission. I also welcome Commissioner McRobert's family, her husband John Pappas, their daughter Georgie and son Archie, her mother Joy, father Chris, stepmother Jackie, her sisters Katie, Jude and Alexandra, brothers Sam and Jack, and sister-in-law Kate and brother-in-law Anthony, who are all here today to mark another of this important occasion, recognising the appointment as a Commissioner. The New South Wales Government recognises the Industrial Relations Commission of New South Wales as a fundamental pillar of our industrial relations system. As an independent umpire, it has the respect and admiration of all participants in the system, employers, unions and government. The Industrial Relations Commission of New South Wales plays a critical role in the New South Wales public sector, helping industrial parties work through their issues, ensuring there is continued fairness in our public sector workplaces, and that services are delivered to the New South Wales community. Today, I would like to focus on Ms McRobert's extensive legal career in industrial relations as I welcome her to the Commission. Ms McRobert comes to the Commission as an industrial relations legal practitioner with 24 years' experience, having been admitted as a solicitor of the Supreme Court of New South Wales in 2001. Ms McRobert began her legal career at Mallison's Stephen Sharks and has spent time with other firms such as McNally Jones Staff and Haywoods. Commissioner McRobert has also spent time leading the legal divisions and practice areas of a number of unions, most recently the Public Service Association. During this time, Commissioner McRobert appeared and instructed in major industrial cases and gained extensive litigation experience on complex industrial and employment in both the state and federal jurisdiction. Ms McRobert has also appeared on matters in courts and tribunals, including the Commission, the Fair Work Commission, the Federal Circuit Court, the Federal Court, the Anti-Discrimination New South Wales, NCAT, the Human Rights Commission, and the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal. This background and experience will no doubt place Commissioner McRobert in good stead in her new roles as a Commissioner of the IRC. Importantly, Commissioner McRobert comes to the Commission at a critical time. In the last 12 months, we've seen the restoration of the New South Wales Industrial Court, which has again been re-established as a superior court of record with equivalent status to the Supreme Court and Land and Environment Court. Since then, there have been some significant changes to Chapter 6 of the Industrial Relations Act, which relate to owner-drivers. The coverage of Chapter 6 has been extended to take in transport gig workers such as food delivery and rideshare, plugging a significant gap in New South Wales industrial regulation. Also, new accessorial liability provisions have been added and the Commission's dispute settling powers have been extended to cover the full range of supply chain participants. I am pleased to report that last week, the Industrial Relations and Other Legislation Amendment Workplace Protection Bill was passed, further emphasising and expanding the role of the Industrial Relations Commission, particularly in regard to prevention of workplace injuries. Significantly, new jurisdictions for workplace bullying and sexual harassment have been established in the Industrial Relations Commission. This will create a one-stop shop for bullying and sexual harassment matters where claims can be heard from beginning to end. The timely and efficient resolution of disputes is critical to protecting workers from further exposure to harm because we know the longer unresolved disputes exist, the greater the chances of ongoing conflict and other negative impacts in the workplace. The Industrial Relations Commission has been empowered to make orders to remedy and respond to these behaviours, including the payment of damages. This additional power is something that would make the New South Wales Industrial Commission distinct in its powers. The Industrial Relations Commission will also be able to hear more disputes under the Work Health and Safety Act, with the introduction of new class of disputes being inserted into Part 5 of the Work Health and Safety Act. Commissioner McRobert is ably equipped to take on the challenges presented by these changes, not to mention those that the Commission has to currently grapple with every day. Ms McRobert's appointment will ensure the Commission is effectively resourced and will enable it to hear matters in a timely manner, ensuring the quick resolution of industrial matters. I am confident that Ms McRobert and her fellow commissioners will carry out their duties with professionalism, impartiality and fairness. On behalf of the New South Wales Government, I warmly welcome the appointment of Alison McRobert as a Commissioner of the New South Wales Industrial Relations Commission of New South Wales, if it pleases the Commission.
I call on Mr McGrath, the immediate past President of the Law Society of New South Wales, to speak on behalf of New South Wales lawyers.
May it please the Commission. I too acknowledge the Gadigal of the Eora Nation, the traditional owners of the land on which this Commission stands, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I acknowledge and extend my respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people present today. It is an honour, Commissioner, to offer congratulations on behalf of the Solicitors of New South Wales on your appointment to the Industrial Relations Commission. We are joined today by distinguished guests, your family, and I'm told plenty of friends from your extraordinary career, your time at the University of Wollongong and from Port Hacking High. This considerable crowd is a testament to the warmth and loyalty that you inspire. Speaking to your friends and colleagues, Commissioner, the response was unanimous. Nobody is surprised by this appointment. It was a matter of if, not when, the Law Society was told. A senior member of the legal profession called you, and I quote, one of the most preeminent public sector lawyers in the state. A former employee of yours, in fact, said, "What took them so long?" You are, in his words, a must-have. It is not surprising then to say that you have an enduring connection to this commission through your commitment to employment law. You have seen this commission evolve throughout your long involvement in the industrial relations sphere. In turn, the commission has seen you grow as a lawyer, and throughout this there has been a clear commitment to orderly industrial relations and unfailing compassion for your clients. Thanks to your legal acumen, ability to think creatively, and care for the disadvantaged, you are held in high esteem by your colleagues. They are also qualities I saw for myself when we served together on the board of the Legal Aid Commission of New South Wales beginning in 2019. I was able to witness your decency and commitment to the legal profession firsthand. The work you undertake here will not always be easy. The people who come before you are some who we rely upon most for our world to function: public servants, police, paramedics, nurses, teachers, and transport workers. The New South Wales Government is the largest employer in the country. It is now for you to help resolve these industrial disputes. And I know you have already rolled up your sleeves and begun working. I also think that today, in this moment, it is imperative to acknowledge the human side of what this commission is for. The people who go into a workplace every day facing hostility or even physical danger, and the people who may be losing their livelihoods unfairly. Simultaneously, the need to run organisations as effectively as possible to provide basic services that we all need, and without which we wouldn't be able to do our jobs. But I also want to note that it was clear in the Law Society's research that remembering humanity has never been a struggle for you, Commissioner. Your entry into law was via your interest in social justice, as we have heard. You were the union delegate to Pizza Hut, after all. The joy of university jobs, Commissioner. Nevertheless, the depth of your care for people was felt by all who worked with you. It's also in the details of daily work. A former colleague of yours told the Law Society that you take your team's birthdays seriously, beyond a simple cake and song, and would decorate their whole offices. As someone who is said to have been, and I quote, at the apex of industrial relations practitioners, you have given invaluable and unfailing support to junior solicitors too. As Manager of Legal Services at the Public Sector Association, I was informed that you worked hard to create a working environment that felt like a home. Nurturing and constructive, you were a guiding light for those starting out, a model for advocating for the disadvantaged. To those who don't know you, Commissioner, your skill could also be intimidating, but your disarming sense of humour would often catch people off guard with self-depreciating quips, and I'm sure it will continue to serve you well on the bench. Earlier, I mentioned that many of the industrial relations world felt this appointment was inevitable. Today, it may even seem that way. But I also know that can never really be the case. In reality, all appointments such as this require a lifetime of work. We can observe closely, and it is clear this has taken a lot of hard work and tenacity to come to this moment for you, Commissioner. We heard examples of the meticulous and dogged care for clients that marked your legal career. For example, in the case of a client who was a refugee, who was without qualifications in Australia, underpaid according to the award, and had threats made against him by his employer, the Law Society was told, and I quote, "Alison just bolted in and held onto it and achieved a proper resolution for this fellow. She's a great lawyer and she has a great heart." No matter how long a case lasted, Commissioner, you sought justice. In 1958, in the case of the Commissioner of Police in Tanos, Chief Justice Dixon and Justice Webb of the High Court of Australia wrote of, and I quote, "a deep-rooted principle of the law that before anyone can be punished or prejudiced in his person or property by any judicial or quasi-judicial proceeding, he must be afforded an adequate opportunity of being heard." That every person is entitled to be heard is a strong-held value of yours, Commissioner, and you possess the key ability to make a person feel heard during times of great stress. Your ability to listen, to hear, will serve this Commission well in its crucial functions of conciliation and arbitration. They allow people more control over their fates and ensure they are heard. The public service of New South Wales is in good hands. Commissioner, on behalf of the more than 43,000 solicitors of New South Wales, congratulations on your appointment. As the Commission pleases.
I call on Mr. Little to General Secretary of the Public Service Association of New South Wales, to speak on behalf of the union movement.
Thank you, Your Honour. May it please the Court, may I begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, pay my respects to elders past and present. I also acknowledge all First Nations people who are here with us today, as well as my Aboriginal friends and colleagues that are here this morning. Could I also take the opportunity to acknowledge the magnificent first responders and emergency service workers who are out there serving our community and keeping us all safe in the current situation. Your Honour, the President, thank you for the invitation to speak today. Commissioner McRobert, on behalf of the trade union movement, I welcome you on this very special day. Your appointment reflects the increasing and ongoing importance of this Commission's work, particularly now that its independence and many of its powers have rightfully been restored. And I'd like to acknowledge Minister Sophie Kotsis and the Minns Labor government in restoring those powers. You will bring great legal, industrial relations and personal skills to the demanding role of Commissioner, which you assume today. In my view, you will bring great energy, initiative and a collegiate approach to your new role. Commissioner, you come with a long family tradition of public service. Your father, Chris McRobert, who is here with us today, was appointed a magistrate in 1991 and he retired just last year, aged 78, after more than 30 years service. And I do recall his very unique sense of humour and musical prowess, particularly jazz. And Commissioner McRobert, whilst you may not be able to play the double bass, I am more than confident that you will also serve the people of this state in a similar and admirable fashion. You studied law at the University of Wollongong, during which time, fittingly enough, you had a brief clerical role at the Public Service Association's South Coast office. This no doubt equipped you with the skills and guidance for the challenges ahead. After completing your law degree, you were briefly employed at Mallison's, and in 2002 you successfully applied for the role of an industrial solicitor at the firm of Jones Staff, where, as I recall, you replaced a very young Julian Morrow, who was on his way to another career with the comedy The Chaser. And of course, for some time now, Jones Staff has been a hothouse for producing talent and performing well out of its weight division. It has been a nursery not just for those famous people like Mr Morrow, but importantly for industrial judges, deputy presidents and commissioners. You follow the Honourable Conrad Staff, who was a judge of this commission and who employed you in that firm. Your good friend, the Vice President Justice David Chin, a member of this commission, your colleague Commissioner Tony Howell, who was also appointed a commissioner on the same time as yourself, also came from Jones Staff. In addition, we have Judith Wright and Deputy President Alex Grayson, all came through the Jones Staff nursery before their appointments to the Fair Work Commission, and quite an extraordinary achievement for a small firm. During your time at Jones Staff, you were exposed to acting for numerous trade unions, including the Police Association of New South Wales, the Flight Attendants Association, the Australian Workers Union, and most importantly, the Public Service Association of New South Wales. Your career blossomed and you were elevated to the position of associate at the firm, and no doubt on the way to becoming a partner when in 2013 you were snapped up by the Teachers Federation to head up their in-house legal team. In 2016 you joined Haywards with Phil Hayward, where you remained until November 2019, when I finally talked you into coming to the PSA and setting up our in-house legal services team, where you have remained until this very important day. In these roles, you gained a wealth of experience specialising in industrial and employment law, with the majority of your matters before members of this commission. It is in the conciliation and resolution of industrial disputes that your special personal style comes to the fore. You have a finely tuned legal mind and forensic attention to detail, and in my experience, a work ethic that motivates those around you. You have illustrated a lifelong passion for helping people, And indeed, this admirable quality has served our members well, and it has also served you well in your role on the board of the Legal Aid Commission of New South Wales, a body that provides a vital service for the people of our state. Your work has made a profound difference to the working lives of thousands of PSA members. Your work on our wages case, winning above inflation increases for members, is reflected every fortnight in our members' pay packets. Your work on our landmark case on behalf of solicitors at the Office of the DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, in respect to flexible work hours has been formalised into an enforceable award. These provisions will prevent the forfeiture by our members of many thousands of worked hours. You led the charge when our union successfully challenged the salary disparity between school psychologists and school counsellors within the Department of Education, and the benefits of this win are now flowing into psychologists in other departments and agencies. Commissioner, you're also pivotal in assisting our members employed in corrective services, improving the speed, transparency and efficiency of performance and misconduct matters, and you were there to win a comprehensive deal for the Rural Fire Service members who had been denied overtime payments at the Supreme Court. And I must also make special mention of the grooms. I think we have 6 of them in this state who, without your tenacity, may well have been forgotten in the last salaries award, and of course the special constables. There are countless examples where your work has helped the lives of our members, working people who serve the people of this state. Commissioner, you will undoubtedly bring your considerable legal analytical skills to bear in the work of the Commission in the future. You are familiar with the Commission's practices and procedures, its customers, users and practitioners, and indeed its member judges and commissioners. Your appointment has been warmly received. Obviously, our union is sad to lose such a talented legal mind. However, the trade union movement in our state as a whole is delighted to welcome you as a Commissioner of the Industrial Relations Commission of New South Wales. We wish you well in the future in your role as Commissioner, and I again congratulate you on your appointment. May it please the Commission.
I call on Ms Rizzo, Executive Director, Industrial Relations People and Workforce Group of the Premier's Department, to speak on behalf of employers of New South Wales.
Thank you. If the Commission pleases, Marina Rizzo. I would also like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we have gathered today, the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I would also like to extend my respect to our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander colleagues and friends here today. Your Honour, I thank you for the opportunity to address the Commission today. I'm so pleased and honoured to speak at Commissioner McRobert's ceremonial sitting. Congratulations, Commissioner McRobert. I have known Commissioner McRobert in a professional capacity for about 20 years. During this time, not only have I had the benefit of having a clever and knowledgeable opponent, but one who has become a long-term respected colleague and friend. Today, I appear on behalf of employers who appear before the Commission, in particular the Industrial Relations Secretary, the nominal employer who represents the majority of employers in the New South Wales public sector. And I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the distinguished guests and family members here today, in particular to Georgie and Archie. I've heard so many lovely stories about you over the years. Commissioner McRobert comes to the Commission with extensive experience, as we've heard, as a solicitor specialising in all aspects of industrial law and employment law. Importantly, Commissioner McRobert joins the Commission at a time of very significant change and expansion. In the last 12 months, we've seen the restoration of the New South Wales Industrial Court, the return of work health and safety matters, new provisions to Chapter 6 for platform and gig workers, and as recent as last week, the addition of a new bullying and sexual harassment jurisdiction. Commissioner Robert is absolutely ably equipped to take on these challenges and opportunities presented by these changes. as well as the range of complex issues the Commission deals with on a daily basis. As we've heard from the Minister, her professional background is impressive and varied. No aspect of industrial and employment law is left unaddressed. Commissioner McRobert is a legal practitioner with over two decades of experience in both private practice and within trade unions, and has appeared in a variety, if not all, jurisdictions. Her extensive experience and knowledge of New South Wales public sector issues, most recently as legal counsel for the New South Wales Public Service Association, will be particularly useful in dealing with the matters that arise in the largest workforce in the Commission's jurisdiction. Dealing with Commissioner McRobert in her previous role was certainly a challenge. Not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way.
Reflective of the typical relationship of any employer that any employer has with well-seasoned and highly able industrial advocate. Commissioner McRobert has shown herself to be determined, focused and well-versed in the significant issues she has handled and negotiated on behalf of a very vast number of employees in diverse industries over many years. Importantly, she's pragmatic and solution-focused, two critical attributes for a member of the Commission. The professionalism Commissioner McRobert brought to the negotiating table around a raft of nuanced industrial issues ensured that while negotiations were hard, they were fair and they were productive. All employer representatives were very aware of how thorough and analytical Commissioner McRobert was in her case research. One couldn't be overprepared. Tricky counter-arguments, pointed questions, unexpected challenges were inevitable. In short, Commissioner McRobert is highly respected by her peers, notably also by her opponents, and I extend their congratulations to you today. With this in mind, I would like to take some time to share some quotes from practitioners who represent employers across the sector. One practitioner said, "Despite being a formidable opponent in most of the major industrial cases, she was always so lovely to deal with. She'd always pick up the phone. She's someone who I have enormous respect for." Another said, "It was clear to me that the Commissioner dedicated an inordinate amount of time, energy and doggedness to her matters. She's passionate, she keeps you on your toes and working hard and holds you to a very high standard. I have always respected and found this approach to be admirable. Most of all, she's a great example that you can be a dedicated mother, but also successful in your working life, if you are consistent, determined and willing to work for it." And while there were many, many more wonderful observations, a final quote I think perfectly sums up employers' experience when working alongside the Commissioner. "I've always been kept on my toes by Commissioner McRobert. The Commissioner instills both trepidation and admiration. And most importantly, she commands respect for her utmost professionalism. Her multitasking, her ability to equally care about a school administrative officer and a cohort of 90,000 PSA members, her acute sense of fairness, her intelligence, and will undoubtedly be missed by those of us appearing in the PSA matters. The bench has gained an industrial maverick, and I look forward to appearing before her. It is notable that observations about the Commissioner include descriptions of her being formidable alongside words such as admiration, care and fairness. Descriptions and sentiments I am sure that those that have come up against Commissioner McRobert in her former roles would echo. I know these qualities will be put to good use by the Commissioner when conciliating and arbitrating matters in the Commission. I've no doubt that Commissioner McRobert will carry out her duties with professionalism, impartiality and fairness. If the Commission pleases.
Commissioner McRobert.
Thank you. Good morning, friends. I too wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians on whose lands the Industrial Relations Commission stands, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. For over 70,000 years, the Gadigal have lived on, used and cared for this land and its waterways. I wish to acknowledge the Gadigal's rich and enduring connection with the land and to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and all First Nations people present here today. I sought the wise counsel of colleagues in preparing today's speech, and the two main pieces of advice I received were, don't speak too long, and today is not the day to wing it. My sincere thanks to all the speakers at the bar table today, Minister Kotsis, Brett McGrath, Stuart Little and Marina Rizzo, for your kind and overly generous words. And Marina, I never knew I was that scary. With an extra special thank you to Stuart Little for his uncharacteristic brevity. An occasion such as this has been described quite aptly as a living eulogy. And I, for one, am very grateful that you have come to praise me and not to bury me. I am deeply honoured by the presence of so many distinguished guests, the Minister, judges, past and present members of courts and tribunals, dear friends, valued colleagues and my most treasured family, many whom have travelled from various ends of New South Wales to be here. From the South Coast, Port Macquarie, the mountains, Newcastle and Gunnedah. To my younger sister Alex, who was unfortunately struck down with COVID yesterday and had to miss her flight from Brisbane, I wish you a speedy recovery and I hope I look taller on the live stream. I truly appreciate everyone taking the time out of their busy lives on this very wet and windy day to share what is undoubtedly the greatest honour of my professional life. I would also like to particularly acknowledge the non-lawyers present here today who knew there would be a ridiculous amount of lawyers all gathered in one place and chose to come anyway. I would also like to extend my thanks to the judicial staff and particularly Rebecca for organising this event, which is akin to a judicial version of the game of Frogger. And I express my thanks to the Commission support staff and the IRC registry staff who have helped me inordinately in the month since I have commenced at the Commission. I thank you. I wish to acknowledge the Commissioners and judges, and I am delighted to be joining my fellow Commissioners. They have all welcomed me so warmly since my appointment, and they've helped me feel right at home. The New South Wales Industrial Relations Commission is the longest continuously operating industrial tribunal in the world and has a long and rich tradition of compulsory conciliation and arbitration and setting fair and reasonable conditions of employment. I feel very privileged that by my appointment, I will become a very tiny part of its extensive and important history. The Commission is underpinned by the New South Wales Industrial Relations Act that enshrines a just and fair framework of industrial relations in New South Wales. This tradition has been continued with the reconstitution of the Industrial Court 1 year ago today, and the passage of the Industrial Relations and Other Legislation Amendments Workplace Protections Bill 2025, as mentioned by the Minister, only last Friday, that establishes a sexual harassment anti-bullying jurisdiction, enshrines gender equality as an object in the Act, and expands the powers of the Commission to make orders in industrial disputes and work health and safety matters. It does feel, in a sense, that my career has come full circle. My first grown-up job was as a court monitor in the Industrial Relations Commission while still studying at university. I primarily worked at Xerox House, but also here in Bridge Street. It was in this very commission that my lifelong passion for industrial relations law, which began in the halls of Wollongong University, was cemented. It is important to remember that the Commission is shaped not only by its jurisprudence, but by the life stories of the thousands of workers and employers who have accessed this institution in one form or another in the last 120 years. In preparing for today, my thoughts inevitably turned to the ones who I owe the real credit for any success that I have. My family, who give me unconditional love and support, my parents who raised and nurtured me, the teachers who inspired me, my friends, both old and new, and especially my lifers, my Port Hacking High School crew. My former employers who had faith in me, and my work colleagues, many of who have become my dear friends and mentors. In acknowledging all the important people in my life to whom I owe more than I can ever repay, I reflect on the words of Isaac Newton. If I have ever seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. To my mother, Joy, I owe my love of reading and learning. Her own education was cut short when she had to leave school at 15 to support her family. But she never stopped learning and pursuing her passions, including for amateur astronomy. And she encouraged me and all my siblings to pursue higher education and to always reach for the stars. To my father, Chris, who inspired my love of the law, intellectual curiosity, and love of music through his commitment to singing and playing the double bass, as we've heard, in jazz bands for over 50 years. To my stepmother, Jackie, who taught me that sometimes the loudest voice is not always the wisest, and it is just as important to listen with patience and an open mind. My parents allowed me to hone my skills, and what I like to remember is a finely balanced and logical discourse through the challenging teen years. But as Queen Elizabeth II would say, recollections may vary. To my sisters, Katie, Jude, and Alex, and my brothers Sam and Jack, I thank you for always being there for me and for growing to such wonderful humans and friends. I love you all. Thank you to my bonus siblings, my brother-in-law Anthony and my sister-in-law Kate, and my nephew Hugo, who could be here today, and my sister-in-law Rachel, and brother-in-laws Andrew and Matt, who couldn't be here today. Now, I learned some very valuable lessons in life from my older sisters, Katie and Jude, at a very young age, when I was wedged into the back of a Tonka truck by my nappy and pushed down our gravel driveway in Coonabarabran. Don't worry, Mum and Dad, I usually crash before I hit the Newell Highway. And it was a great lesson in resilience and learning the tuck and roll. You could say that industrial relations introduced me to the love of my life. Many years ago, I was appearing in an unfair dismissal case for several zoo employees, Mr. Little might recall. When I interviewed my now husband, Zhao, then a zookeeper on secondment to the PSA as a potential witness in the case. After about half an hour, I decided I couldn't possibly put him on the witness stand, but he found a way into my heart instead. And he has been by my side as my greatest champion ever since. To my very reason for being, my daughter Georgie and my son Archie, I say this. Nothing I have achieved in my professional life can ever compare with my proudest achievement of being your mum. Sorry. As a working mum, life certainly has its challenges. But you can't cry, Georgie, but I would not trade any single minute of it to my sweet girl, who has taught me more about perseverance, resilience, and kindness than anyone I know. To my sweet Archie, who turns 13 on Thursday, who is absolutely fearless and has taught me patience and many fascinating facts and keeps me in stitches every day. I must remember to mention my youngest fur child, Teddy, who brings me abundant joy, but couldn't be here today because of very draconian laws. Also, to answer your questions about today, kids, no, I don't get knighted. And yes, I did have to practice my speech in the mirror. I acknowledge and pay tribute to my friends and colleagues, both that I have worked with and those who have been my opponents over the years and have showed me collegiality and support. To my friends and colleagues in the law and the PSA, there are too many to possibly mention, but you know who you are, and your unwavering support and care you have shown me has been immeasurable. I must make special mention to my former employers, first and foremost, my original mentor, Conrad Staff, who showed great faith in employing me at Jones Staff & Co. when I was a very young solicitor with a very fresh mind, i.e. no industrial relations experience. And all the partners at McNally Jones Staff who supported me over the years, including Richard Brennan, Michael Jalousis, David Traynor, Bill McNally, and my colleagues Nathan and Damien. To Joanne Warren and Phil Haywood, who shared with me both their skills as lawyers and their compassion as people, I thank you. And to Stuart Little, a great man of integrity and passion. I have had the great privilege of working with some of the finest legal minds in industrial law and the bar in Australia from very early in my career, including the President of the Fair Work Commission, Adam Hatcher, the Vice President of the Fair Work Commission, Mark Gibeon, the Vice President of the Industrial Relations Commission, David Chin, and the always formidable Patricia Lawson. David, Mark, and Patricia have also become lifelong friends, and I've relied upon their support and faith in me over the years to lift me up. I have seen a lot of changes from when I was a young solicitor. And whilst women now make up over half of the solicitors in Australia, these numbers are not reflected in the upper echelons of the law, and there still remains inequities for women in the law, including a gender pay gap and women being more likely to face discrimination and harassment. But I have had the very good fortune of surrounding myself with the support and guidance from what I like to refer to as the legal sorority of smart, fierce women, including Patricia, another mentor of mine, Judith Wright, and Alex Grayson, both now Deputy Presidents of the Fair Work Commission. And together we have tried to pass on our knowledge to young solicitors that come after us. And I have had the great privilege of mentoring some wonderful solicitors, including at the PSA, Ben and Jessica, Lucy and Shamila. Now, I can't finish this speech without mentioning the honour of being appointed at the same time as my former Jones Staff buddy, Tony Howe, who I rely upon for many things: unwavering support, his encyclopedic knowledge of cases, and help if I need to open a jar. I approach my new role with fairness and impartiality and without fear or favour. Everyone who knows me knows that I have always taken my work and responsibilities very seriously, and I will continue to do so in my new role. But I have never taken myself too seriously. As I started this speech misquoting Shakespeare, it is fitting that I end it with the words of another famous wordsmith, Oscar Wilde. Life is far too important a thing to be taken too seriously. Thank you all, and now it's time for cake.
Indeed. And I thank everyone for coming. And as the Commissioner has just identified, invite you all those who can stay, to join us for morning tea in the room directly behind me, which you'll be able to access by going into the corridor and around to the back. The Commissioner's adjourned.
All stay.